My name is Sergeant Dwayne English. I'm the Public Affairs Sergeant for the Joliet Police Department. Thank you for joining us as we intend to provide some updates and what is arguably the most heinous crime that our city and our police department has handled. Again, thank you for being here. Just wanted to start off by letting you know that I do have a press packet for you all. However, we did suffer a small internet outage, so I was not able to complete it for you. I will send that to you once that is done, or once we are done here. Today we'll have speaking Chief of Police Bill Evans, EVANS, and also Deputy Chief of Will County Sheriff's Office, Dan Jungles, JUNGLES. Also in attendance, we have City of Joliet Mayor Terry Darcy and Joliet City Manager Beth Beatty. And lastly, we have in attendance Will County Coroner Lori Summers. However, she will not be speaking. Without further ado, I will introduce Joliet Police Chief Bill Evans.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bill Evans, Chief of Police, City of Joliet. I wanted to begin by thanking our assisting agencies that played a very significant role in this investigation. Our federal law enforcement partners, including the United States Marshals, Fugitive Task Force, the Texas Rangers, and local agencies in Texas, the Will County State's Attorneys, CAC, the Will County Sheriff's Police, and obviously the Joliet Police Department. This incident has had a tremendous impact on the city of Joliet. It's had a tremendous impact on my agency, both mentally and physically. Our officers and detectives worked tirelessly throughout the night in early morning hours to advance this investigation. As you are aware, yesterday afternoon, the JPD was summoned to the 2200 block of West Acres. It was quickly determined at that time that 2 homes on that block contained a total of 7 persons who were all shot to death. Through our investigation, we are now comfortable saying that this multi-victim homicide occurred Sunday afternoon. When officers arrived, this was no longer a fluid, active scene. Shortly after, we were confident that the offender had fled the area and was no longer in Will County or the city of Joliet. Our detectives worked quickly and identified a suspect in this matter and disseminated that information to media outlets immediately in a very rapid fashion. As you're aware, that subject was Romeo Nance. During the course of this investigation, we determined that a 3-year-old boy was unaccounted for, and we quickly located that child with a relative in a nearby community. Shortly after 9 p.m. last night, we were notified by Texas law enforcement authorities and our federal partners that our subject, 23-year-old Romeo Nance, was killed by a self-inflicted gunshot wound after a brief confrontation with law enforcement. We have confirmed the victims in this case were of a variety of different ages. Inside the residence at 2212, there was 4 females, aged 14, 16, 20, and 38. There was also a 38-year-old male at that residence. All were deceased. At the address of 2225, there was 1 female, aged 47, and a male victim, aged 35. They too were deceased. I want to remind everybody this is still a very complicated and active investigation. We are still relatively limited in how much information we can provide, but we will continue to get as much information to you in a timely fashion when that information is available. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dan Jungles. I'm a Deputy Chief with the Will County Sheriff's Office, and I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of what has occurred thus far involving the Will County Sheriff's Office. On January 21st at approximately 4:27 p.m., deputies with the Will County Sheriff's Office were sent to an address at Pheasant Run Apartments, located off of Pheasant Run Road and Route 53 in Joliet Township. While deputies were en route, they were advised that there was a man found bleeding from the head for an apparent gunshot wound. Deputies located a critically injured male, later identified as Toyosi Bakari, age 28, of Joliet, who was originally from Nigeria. Deputies began to perform life-saving efforts on Mr. Bakari at that time. He had a single gunshot wound to his head, which entered through the left portion near his eye. It is believed that the weapon used in this incident was a 9mm handgun, but a further confirmation is needed from the Northeastern Illinois Regional Crime Lab that the Will County Sheriff's Office uses. While deputies were securing the crime scene, they were informed of another shooting that occurred in the city of Joliet, and that was located at the 200 block of Davis Street. The victim reported to Joliet Police Department the suspect vehicle in that incident was a red Toyota. Toyosi Bakari was transported to St. Joseph Hospital in Joliet, where he succumbed to his injuries. Our hearts break for the Bakari family and those that have been affected by this senseless act of violence. Once detectives and crime scene investigators were on scene, it was clear that robbery was not a motive to this. Money was found in the area near where Bakari was located. Detectives learned that he had exited his residence in an attempt to purchase some cigarettes at a local gas station. Video surveillance recovered at the scene showed the suspect vehicle both entering and exiting the Pheasant Run apartments in a short period of time. This vehicle matched the same description as the Joliet shooting. By 8 p.m., law enforcement was able to identify the suspect vehicle as a red Toyota Camry bearing license plate Q730412. Detectives utilized license plate readers exclusively to attempt to locate the vehicle. The suspect vehicle was known to be used by Joliet resident Romeo Nance, who has an extensive criminal history. Personnel at the Sheriff's Office began to focus on locating the suspect and his vehicle by conducting saturation patrols in known addresses where he's been known to, where he was associated with. When the vehicle could not be located, detectives with the Will County Sheriff's Office set up surveillance on the 2200 block of West Acres and Joliet in hopes that the vehicle would return to the residence. When the vehicle could not be located and the vehicle's movements were no longer active, as a matter of public safety, the Will County Sheriff's Office released the identity of that suspect vehicle. It was at this point that we believed that Mr. Nance had fled the Will County area and was no longer a danger to the public. Detectives with the Will County Sheriff's Office went to 2212 West Acres to contact the registered owner of the suspect vehicle. Detectives received no response at that residence. Knowing that the residence across the street was also known to be occupied by Romeo Nance, they went to that residence as well. It was at that time that they noticed blood located on the front of the door and fresh gunshot wounds to the door. Detectives, under exigency circumstances, made entry into the home and located two deceased individuals. The Joliet police were contacted at that time by detectives. Once Joliet arrived on scene, a team of officers from the Will County Sheriff's Office and the Joliet Police Department went to the other address across the street at 2212 West Acres and discovered 5 more deceased individuals. All available law enforcement resources, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the United States Marshal Service, were being utilized to locate Romeo Nance and the suspect vehicle. Shortly before 6 p.m., members of the Will County Sheriff's Office, who were coordinating with the U.S. Marshals, advised that Romeo Nance was believed to be traveling in the state of Texas. By around 8 p.m., a helicopter had located the suspect vehicle on I-35, and Texas law enforcement was mobilizing additional resources to stop the vehicle. The Will County Sheriff's Office learned that the suspect, Romeo Nance, pulled his vehicle into the gas station in Natalia, Texas. Task force officers with the United States Marshal Service observed Mr. Nance armed with a firearm fleeing from the vehicle. It's at that time they gave chase to him. He rounded the corner around the gas station and decided to take his life. As a reminder, these investigations are still in their infancy, and detectives are still gathering additional information, and evidence must be processed by crime labs. We know there may be many questions that you may have regarding this case and motives and circumstances involving this incident. Many cases like this, we may never know the truth or the motives behind these senseless killings. So many agencies were involved in bringing this case to a conclusion. The Will County Sheriff's Office would like to thank the Joliet Police Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the United States Marshals Service, the Texas Department of Public Safety, the Texas Rangers, and many other agencies associated to the U.S. Marshals Service that were task force officers on it. Mr. Nance's reign of terror in our communities in Will County is now over. With so much sadness that surrounds these incidents, it is time for our communities to come together and heal. Thank you very much.
We will take a few brief questions, and let me echo the comments by Chief Evans and Deputy Chief Jungles that this is a very active investigation still, despite what occurred last evening in Texas. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We do know right now that there was a family relationship between the two residents, and we do know that Nance was related to the occupants of both residents. As to exactly what type of relationship there was within the family, right now we're still sorting through that. As we could tell right now, he was related to, if not all, a vast majority of the people within the residence, both residences.
And the first shootings, were those known subjects to him, or appear to be random?
It does appear at this point that the shooting that Will County Sheriff's handled and the shooting that the Joliet Police Department handled were separate from this particular investigation. We don't know. Those seem to us to be more random in nature. There doesn't appear to be any nexus between the two shootings outside of our primary location and the 2200 block of West Acres.
And if I may ask, there appears to be a report out there that the police department has filed a criminal complaint which counts the first-degree murder against Nance. Is that posthumously? Is this correct?
I have not heard that.
Okay. The patch has it as two charges filed against him.
I can't speak to that. Prior to the events that took place in Texas, I can't speak. Our detectives were seeking and gained an arrest warrant for Nance for those charges, and then we were pretty much right simultaneously. We were notified of the events that took place in Texas.